Namaste and welcome back to Ramakathasudha. Today, we arrive at one of the most violent and unsettling events in the Ramayana, the story of Shurpanaga, the demoness who, consumed by lust, approaches Rama and is ultimately disfigured by Lakshmana. On the surface, it's a brutal act of punishment. It can make us uncomfortable. But the Adhyatma Ramayanam urges us to never remain on the surface. It asks us to see every event as a lesson wrapped in a story. Today we will look beyond the physical act and interpret this encounter as it was intended, a profound and powerful metaphor for the painful but necessary death of the ego. Let us first understand who the characters represent in this spiritual drama. Shurpanaga is not just a demoness. She is a symbol of the raw, untamed jiva, the individual soul, completely identified with its ego, its desires, and its physical form. She is driven by lust, that is kama, and anger, that is krodha. She comes face to face with Sri Rama, who is the symbol of Brahman, the absolute reality. What is the ego's first reaction when it sees the divine? It does not seek to surrender, it seeks to possess. She wants Rama for herself, and she sees Sita, who represents divine wisdom and pure devotion, as an obstacle to be eliminated. This is the classic error of the unenlightened soul. It tries to own God and destroy the very wisdom needed to reach Him. When Shurpanaga's desire turns into a violent threat against Sita, Rama gives the command and Lakshmana acts. Here again, the symbolism is key. Lakshmana is not just a brother. He represents the Shesha Shakti, the power of awareness. He is the symbol of the perfectly controlled mind and the sharp, discriminating intellect, that is Viveka. It is this sharp intellect that performs the spiritual surgery. And what does it remove? The nose and the ears? It is not arbitrary. The nose. In Indian culture, the nose is a powerful symbol of pride, honor, and social identity. To have one's nose cut is to be uttered humiliated. Lakshmana cutting off Shurpanaga's nose is a metaphor for the forceful destruction of the ego's pride, the ahankara. The ears. The ears are the gateways for sensory input that feed the ego. They hear praise, which inflates the ego, and they hear slander, which wounds it. Removing the ears symbolizes a violent detachment from the world's opinions, a forced turning away from the external world and its dualities. So what Lakshmana performs is not just a mutilation, it is a symbolic act of stripping the ego of its two primary instruments, its pride and its connection to worldly validation. From a purely human, physical perspective, this is a cruel act. But from the perspective of the Adhyatma Ramayana, the question changes. The question becomes, is it cruelty or is it a form of shocking, unconventional grace? Think of a surgeon cutting into a patient's body to remove a life-threatening tumor. The process is violent, painful, and leaves a scar. But is the surgeon cruel? No, the act is one of ultimate compassion. In the same way, Rama, the divine physician, sees the deadly tumor of ego and desire growing within Shurpanaga. He prescribes a radical, painful surgery, and Lakshmana, the divine surgeon's hand, carries it out. The shock of the disfigurement is designed to shatter her identification with her physical form and worldly identity. It is a violent grace, a spiritual shock treatment meant to awaken the soul from its slumber of ego. Any interaction with the divine, even a painful one, is ultimately a step towards purification. The story of Shurpanaga is a stark warning. It teaches us that the path of spiritual progress is not always gentle. It often requires us to cut off parts of ourselves that we hold dear. Our pride, our attachment to what others think of us, our deepest desires. The ego will not go down without a fight. The process of ego death is often painful and disorienting. Shurpanaga's wail of agony as she runs away is the scream of the ego as it begins to die. Her story tells us that we cannot approach God with our ego intact, demanding that He conform to our desires. We must be prepared for the divine to shatter our illusions, to perform a surgery on our soul, so that something purer can emerge. The encounter with Shurpanaga is a profound lesson, transforming a moment of violence into a metaphor for the necessary, albeit painful, journey from ego to self-realization. It is a reminder that sometimes the greatest grace comes in the most shocking of forms. Thank you for exploring this deep symbolic meaning with me. If this philosophical interpretation gave you a new perspective, please like, share and subscribe to Ramakathasudha. Jai Shri Ram, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu.